Article 3, which is the judiciary, is about that long, and it says it establishes a Supreme Court and all other courts as necessary. Fine, we're done. Congress will create the courts. Congress will approve the appointments to the court. That'll be fine. That's good. That's all we need to be doing. So, final question, how many amendments to the Constitution?
14.
Well, the first 10 are most important. We'll start there. Bill of Rights, 1 through 10, were not even added after the Constitution was written. They were added once the Constitution is written, and they realized that it was not going to be ratified because of people like George Mason, father of the Bill of Rights, Mercy Otis Warren, Patrick Henry. Patrick Henry refused to go to the Constitutional Convention because he said, I smell a rat. Now, Henry liked to be quite dramatic, but he was absolutely convinced that power was going to be amassed in a central government that would negate the power of the people, Article 1, and he refused to go. And he was very much concerned that if we did not enumerate our individual rights to freedom, that in time it would pass over. In fact, Mercy Otis Warren writes a wonderful essay that is distributed by John Adams, by Washington, by others, about why the Bill of Rights should be passed. And she says, everyone says we don't have to worry about it. Of course, we'll always have freedom of speech. We'll always have the freedom to worship as we choose, but to not be forced to worship by a national church. We'll always have habeas corpus, the right to representation, trial by jury, all those sorts of things that are important to us today. And she says, that's not true, because those have been inherently rights of Englishmen since 1250, June the 15th, 1250, on the battlefield at Runnymede. It was reaffirmed by the English Bill of Rights, the Petition of Rights, and still we as English colonists, English citizens, were never given those rights. I want it in writing. I don't trust words. I want it in writing. We have 27 total amendments, so once the Constitution was ratified with the first 10 amendments, we've only added 17 in over 200 years, and 2 of those, 18 and 21, are prohibition. They negate each other out, so 15, 3 of them you probably remember in your lifetime. And if you will remember, there was the amendment that was passed in the 1960s, set up the succession for the presidency, especially in the event the president's incapacitated. Up until then, we didn't really have a good plan, but with medical advancement, what happens if the president has a stroke and he's unconscious? You know, in theory, the cabinet could vote for the vice president to become president now, but prior to that, there was nothing. What if he and the vice president, which is why they don't travel together, what if they're both killed simultaneously? Let's have a clear line of succession. The next one really messed up my 20th birthday. I'm here to tell you because in 1972, most of you will remember the amendment added to the Constitution that lowered the voting age to 18. I was headed toward my 21st birthday when you got to come of age, and all of a sudden it was 18 and I had missed that whole threshold. Just really messed me up. And of course that one was motivated by the fact that there was a lot of lobbying in Congress that if the Bill Rameses of the world, the rest of you who served, were old enough to go to Vietnam, you surely ought to be old enough to be able to vote for the system of government that you were living under.
And to buy beer.
And well, but you all got issued what, the 2% while you were there? Yeah. I mean, not really beer, but you can pretend that it is.
That's right.
And then the final one, of course, only about 15 years ago, and that's when Congress enacted the 27th Amendment that said that anytime they create a race for Congress, it cannot take effect immediately. It has to be after the next congressional election. So you can't vote yourself, in theory, a pay raise. We'll see whether that works. So, okay.
So they have to wait 2 years, right?
Yeah, you have to wait until you get reelected. And then, real quickly, POW MIA Day on Friday, you know, I think most of us, our cities, we will hoist the POWMIA flag at Hamilton County Courthouse Wednesday morning following the commission meeting, because we're very much committed to the fact that, one, there are still a lot of missing. Do you have any idea how many people are still missing from previous wars? And I have to look.
Linda, you've got 5 Vietnam veterans in the room right now.
And so that, you all know, it's interesting, according to the records, and I have to look it up every time because it does change as we repatriate remains that we find and we are able to identify them by DNA. But as of this morning, there are 83,000 we don't know, undocumented as to what happened. Now, 41,000 of those are men who died at sea during World War II in the Pacific Theater. And those bodies will never be reclaimed. But for families who don't know exactly where, what, and everything that's significant, what I did find interesting, and of course this is the one that affects what I've thought about so much, there's still 1,500 plus MIAs from Vietnam. And some of those bodies are located in spots we may not ever be able to reclaim. Some of them we slowly are reclaiming. Some of them are in the punch bowl, we feel certain, in Hawaii. And the DNA evidence is allowing us to bring those folks home too. What I found interesting too is doing the final numbers, what are the current numbers as far as those who are POWs. The majority of our POWs were World War II. A smaller number for Korea, a number for Vietnam, but significantly smaller. At one point, we had over 40,000 World War II living POWs. And that number still staggers me to think about it. We know that we have POWs in this region, in fact, swearing everybody to secrecy. At the commission meeting here in Hamilton County on Wednesday, the mayor and the commission will proclaim September the 19th to be John Sparks Day. And John is one of our local Vietnam veterans who spent 5.5 years in the Hanoi Hilton after being shot down. Absolutely amazing. If you see any of the funerals at the National Cemetery, any of our honor guard things, John is always the one who carries the MIA POW flag in that honor guard. Came back, went to work for TVA, dedicated his life, never talks about it, doesn't want to talk about it. He will be at the commission meeting because Bill Norton has told him they're carrying the flags in. If he knew he was coming because the county was going to honor him, he wouldn't show up. So, you know, sometimes alive, I guess that's a commission, but it's on Bill Norton, who is a Vietnam veteran. So
And now that's Wednesday?
Wednesday
What
morning.
time they meet, 10 o'clock?
9 o'clock, and we'll go on at about 9:30. And it
I'll
would
be
be
there for
lovely
that.
to have some folks there because